So I'm going to start again our little story. So just to keep things in perspective, we looked at period 2 and 3 just because it's a way to understand how the stage is set for fruit to mature. The fruit maturation period will be divided in period 4, during which we look at primary metabolites. Essentially, for today, we're going to look at sugar accumulation rate. And then we will draw some conclusion and putative effects on what it means for colors, using color as a proxy for flavonoids. But focusing on period 4, and before I invite Cecilia to share with us her results on berry accumulation for sugar, let's summarize what we've learned so that we can anticipate some of the trends that she's going to share with us and see if we are surprised or if it actually makes sense. From a vine water use standpoint, what do we expect during the phase of sugar loading? Well, we have those large canopy that have been boosted with nitrogen. So the photosynthetic machinery is working well. Because we had no period 3, it's likely that the vessel size in which the xylem is flowing are probably large. That means that when you have a large vine, it's going to be more susceptible to heat waves. Why? Because during a heat wave, it's not only the leaf area that's exposed to sunlight that contributes to water transportation, it's also the shaded leaves that are exposed to the heat of the air. Which means that under a heat wave, it's as if all of a sudden, for a few days, for as long as the heat wave lasts, it's as if our plant size had doubled or tripled. If you look actually at some work in the literature, some Australian researchers have shown that during a heat wave, transpiration rate can be multiplied 4-fold. So that means that it's a bit counterintuitive, but on sites that have borne the footprint of a lot of vigor early, you're more at risk of seeing some damages caused by excess transpiration during heat waves. And secondly, those sites are also going to see a faster water depletion rate in their root zone. So they may crash more quickly because they will move from a situation where everything is fine from a water standpoint to all of a sudden, I no longer have water to maintain this huge transpiring leaf area. So susceptibility to heat wave is essentially what we are going to think of when I look in a minute at the physiognomy of heat waves, their frequency and their intensity. What is it going to mean from a fruit sugar loading standpoint? It means that the sugar loading should actually start slowly. Why? That's direct consequences of the high leaf to fruit ratio. And what it will translate into, it will be what is the Brix level when sugar stops loading. And Cecilia will talk about that. Another thing we should expect is that the initiation of sugar loading should be delayed. We should have not only larger berries, but also a greater heterogeneity in the pace at which berries starts to call in sugar. So we should expect a longer window for coloration changes, and we should expect a later onset for sugar loading. If I summarize that in terms of winemaker brain, well, it means that it's a good news for weak vigor sites. Those sites that typically underperform because they are showing sunburn, severe water stress symptoms, maturation stops prior to complete polyphenolic ripening. Those guys, because they have a lower water holding capacity, because the site is on a steep slope, is more gravelly, they have a natural tendency to reduce the rain effect at expressing leaf area development, which means the vines are more in balance in terms of leaf to fruit ratio compared to the high vigor sites. This means also that because they are on weaker sites, they have less transpiring leaf area under heat waves. They are also less prone to show cavitation. Keep in mind that cavitation is more likely to open vessels that are larger, and larger vessels are observed on larger transpiring vines. So it's also something that's a bit counterintuitive, but a weaker vine is in general more resistant to heat wave detrimental effects, particularly in terms of hydraulic. Another thing for weak vigor sites, because of the longer period 2, there will be a better fruit coverage, so better fruit protection from overexposure to sun and to light. And also, a benefit of having a weak site is that you may see a period 3. This period 3 will be shorter. It will not be a severe water deficit that you may have observed in 15 or in 16 on that same very site. So the water deficit will be moderate, and that is a good news because it's going to favor higher color and higher tannins. It's a bad news for high vigor sites because a longer P2 period 2 means a higher risk of disease pressure. So tunneling the fruiting zone is a matter of making it or not making it, and still you're going to have disease pressure. The combined effect of no period 3 due to the heavy water supply with the high nitrogen means a lower flavonoid content. So this, to me, is partially exemplified with Nova's results, but we'll see later on. And actually, that's also what Scott was saying. It could be also favorably induced by the fact that there is no lack of nitrogen. No lack of nitrogen. Last year, we had a speaker showing that to us. It means less color. And just the mere fact that we don't have a period 3 means that we are at a greater risk of sugar loading blockage, because what happens when we have a very strong water pooling effect coming from the air is that the water column inside the plant can break. And in breaking, air bubbles appears. And those air bubbles create an irreversible decline in hydraulic conductivity. It's as if you had lost some of your transpiring leaf area. So you do not see it. The leaves are not necessarily falling. But instead of having 100% of leaf area being transpiring, you only have now 70%. That means that it's going to take more time to convey the sugars from the leaves to the fruit because the highway is partially blocked. So what does that mean technically? We are going to look at vapor pressure deficit. Vapor pressure deficit is a pressure measurement that describes how much pressure we need to subject 1 unit of air, like 1 cubic meter of air, in order to make appear the first droplet of liquid water. So it's measured in kilopascal because it's a water-sucking pressure. So the higher is the vapor pressure deficit, the faster your wet cloth will dry if you hang up on a line. But that also means that the more water will be susceptible to be vaporized from even the shaded leaves. So greater propensity to lose water. What we observed, so we took hundreds of sites in Napa, and I took the average during typically the sugar loading phase, so the last 2 weeks of October. And look, we have more than 1 kilopascal higher on average when VPD hits its highest value during the day. So in general, vapor pressure deficit peaks around 4, 5 p.m. So I looked days in, days out at those values and averaged them over hundreds of sites. We are on average at 3.7 kilopascal, it's high. At 3.5 kilopascal, typically the ETREF model crashes because we start to have more water lost in the atmosphere than we expect to be. But it also means that it's going to be more difficult for the berry to keep its turgidity. Not only the intensity of the heat wave has been greater during period 4, but also the frequency of those heat waves has been greater. So we had on average 1.3 heat waves during that period in 18. We had on average 4.5 such heat waves during that same sugar loading phase in 2019. So we will see in Cecilia's data what it means in terms of fruit susceptibility to not have a smooth sugar loading profile. And then during the second phase, the phase during which the plant is hydraulically less connected to the fruit, and where the fruit is actually much more sensitive to vapor pressure deficit outside, it's the same story. We had on average 0.6 kilopascal more in terms of average VPD. That means that the severity of heat wave was greater in 2019. And instead of 7 heat waves, we had on average 11 heat waves in 2019, at least over that period. That means berry temperature is going to spike faster in sites that are exposed to heat wave. If berry temperature spikes, color degradation rate is faster. And that also means that the extractability of the color will also be more difficult. And this was also shown by Nova. So all of that is actually sort of predicted just based on fruit response in terms of berry cell wall composition to those heat waves. So now that we have this take-home number 6, a high frequency of heat wave during sugar loading and color accumulation, we are ready to hear Cecilia's words, keeping in mind that the context is high yield potential and trend towards large berry that is inherited from 0 period 3. We have, due to a high KCBB max, more leaves than fruit compared to previous years, which is also known to slow down the rate at which sugar is loading. So the risk we are expecting to see, and that we will quantify, is how many blocks are going to show sugar loading blockage in 2019 compared, say, to 2018, and to which extent the delay in ripening led to a delay in coloration. So Cecilia, I invite you to share with us what is the impact of heat waves on sugar loading profile and the timing of period 4.